2 cups of water at 47.8 degrees Fahrenheit. It's currently 41 degrees Fahrenheit outside, ambient temperature. There is a slight breeze here at the moment. Sputtering is due to the wind, I think, right now that we have. It's quite hot. You can see the titanium is glowing red, actually, right there. Definitely for boiling water, not for making pancakes, because it's a very concentrated spot heat source that comes out of that. Back, so it could be a primary, but I actually like this stove because it takes well to come. I had to buy this optional windscreen for it. I can't remember what stove this is. Maybe MPR. Like most of these things are kind of white label. There's no markings on the stove whatsoever in the case of the actual manufacturer. Gigapower. Gigapower peak stove. Okay, we've got steam already coming out of here, and it's at a rolling boil. I missed it. It's already at a rolling boil in that amount of time. I just turned it down. That's at a rolling boil. So it went quicker than I even caught it. It basically went to a rolling boil almost instantly because I didn't even see any steam coming out of it before it went right to rolling boil. So anyway, like I said, this is a Gigapower peak stove. I think it's a peak one. I can't remember the exact name that this was. The Gigapower peak stove. And the reason I bought it is because it is a bit more controllable. It's got a more spread out burner. It does have a slightly wider top, although for me, cooking on a backpacking pot, it's not that important for it to be bigger, but it's this windscreen that really helps out. On occasion, I've had to
set up. I mean, there's other ways to do windscreens with this. You can carry a titanium foil and put it around there, tin foil, whatever. There's a million ways to do it. But this really is nice. It really does block the wind quite well when cooking. It lets enough air up in through these holes. That's never been a problem. So I really do like this stove, although it's quite a bit heavier. I'll probably splice over to another video and I'll compare the weights of these two stoves. But for 16 bucks, you know, if you got a kid that wants to get into backpacking, 16 bucks is a heck of a lot cheaper than, you know, some of these other stoves are in the $100 or $200 range, whatever they may be. You really can't go wrong for 16 bucks. And in fact, if I was to say I want a backup on the trail, I'd probably bring 2 of these BRS stoves and call that my backup. It'd probably be lighter than carrying this as a backup. Just have 2 of those. Okay, so this Gigapower Peak, as far as I can tell, stove is 3 pounds. Oh, sorry. 3 ounces and 1/8 of an ounce. 3 1/8 of an ounce. I can say that right. And then the BRS stove in its bag, which I take because it has some sharp corners on it, is 3/4 of an ounce. 3/4 of an ounce. And now it's showing 3 ounces. So, you know, even 2 of these BRS stoves would be lighter than this stove. So, I mean, easily you could take 2 of these, and one would be a backup just in case something broke, an O-ring seal failed, something like that.
Howdy guys. So today's review is of a pretty rare exception in the backpacking world, and that is a piece of gear that is ultralight but yet still pretty cheap and affordable. So I really wasn't sure what to expect when I ordered this stove. I had a friend on the CDT that used it, and it showed a lot of potential in replacing my current stove and being lighter, so I figured I'd give it a try. Although I had heard about this stove before from some friends, I was pretty wary about picking one up for 2 reasons. First off, it comes from Amazon, which is kind of the land of cheap Chinese knockoff stoves that really don't perform well. And secondly, it has about a $16 price tag, which is really cheap and not something you would expect quality from. But with that said, I've been putting the stove through its paces in these past months, and I really like it. It's definitely going to become my go-to stove when I go backpacking, but there are some caveats, so let's jump in and find out about it. So just to start, here's a list of some of the dimensions and features of the stove, and if you want you can just pause on it to take them in better. As you can see, the construction is mostly a titanium alloy, but there are definitely other metals used. Now while all of these dimensions are nice, I think the best way to get a good idea of what the stove is like is to compare it to a similar stove, and one that's kind of a top-of-the-line stove and has been my go-to stove for quite some time now, the Snow Peak Light Max. So you can see here that even though the Snow Peak Light Max is a pretty compact stove, this one is even more compact, and it comes out to about 2 inches tall by 1.5 wide, which is great for packing it inside of a pot and saving room in your pack. When it comes to height, the BRS is actually much shorter as well, which means you'll have a lower center of gravity and hopefully less spills due to your top-heavy pot tipping over. But despite benefiting from a lower center of gravity, you can see the BRS on the right here has smaller and shorter pot supports, so you're not going to get as much support as you would with the Snow Peak. Now before I get too in-depth into these 2 stoves, I'm going to go ahead and start the boil test that I did to give you an idea of how fast these stoves can boil water comparatively. On the left is the Snow Peak and on the right is the BRS, and I did the same test, 2 cups of water going from around 65 degrees Fahrenheit to 212 Fahrenheit boiling, and put both of the stoves on full blast to see how they compare. And just for your information, I'm at around 670 feet of elevation. So while these boil, I figured I'd go into some of the caveats about the BRS stove. As you can see, with its narrower pot support base, it comes right to the edge of the pot that I'm using, and the snow peak, however, extends a little farther beyond, and the flame base on the snow peak is much wider. I would compare the BRS kind of to a pocket rocket flame that goes directly up to the bottom of the pot. And what that means is you don't really want to use this BRS stove for more than 2 people. It's not going to be able to handle a large pot and large amounts of water very well. The supports are a little weaker, and the flame base is more suited towards a mug pot like the one I'm using here, where all the flames stay under the pot, because with a larger pot you're really not going to be able to heat the entire base, and it's not going to be as efficient with this stove. Okay, now the boils are coming to an end, and you can see that the BRS only took about 6 seconds longer to boil than the Snow Peak, which is super minimal and pretty impressive. Up next here I'll be comparing the noise that the 2 stoves make, and you'll notice the BRS kicks in second with more of a jet sounding noise compared to the hissy noise of the Snow Peak, and it's certainly louder if that's a factor for you in stove selection. Also, this will give you a better view of the flame patterns of the stoves, and you can see how narrow the BRS is compared to the Snow Peak. So that's how the 2 stoves stack up against each other. And you can see here the weight difference between them is a full ounce. And if you go and add in the stuff sack that comes with the BRS, that brings it up to 1 ounce total, which as far as I know is the lightest fuel stove around. So to wrap up here, I would definitely recommend this stove. It compares very favorably to the Snow Peak, and it's much cheaper, so it makes a great way to get into backpacking or just to reduce your weight if you already have a heavier stove. Just keep in mind some of the caveats. The arms and the support base are smaller, as is the flame base, so you're not going to want to use big pots with this, and you're also not going to want to use it with probably more than 2 people. Mug pots are ideal, and honestly, although it's not flimsy, the arms really probably shouldn't support much more than 3 to 4 cups of water anyways. So just keep that in mind. And if you want to check it out on Amazon, I'll be putting a link in the description and on my website, so check it out. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, consider heading over to my Patreon page down there and supporting this content so I can continue to bring more to you. I really enjoyed doing it, and I love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching.
And to light it, you just turn the knob until you hear a little bit of gas. There it goes. And of course you can control the flame by using the knob here to turn the valve. It will boil a liter of water in under 3 minutes. It's really easy to use. I'm pleased with it. You can't beat the price considering you're getting a titanium ultra lightweight stove. Anyway, the BRS titanium ultralight stove, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I really like it. And if you're looking for a lightweight camp stove, you can't go wrong with this one.
just testing out this little camp stove. It's pretty cheap on Amazon. I have a nicer one, but it's on a motorcycle that's not near me, so I had to pick up a little cheapy one in the short term, and this is the test. So it sputtered a little bit at the beginning, but that's kind of gone away. I wouldn't say it's very fast at boiling water. And it is. So it looks like you got a lot of control on it. And that definitely, well, you know, I wasn't boiling it at its hottest. So maybe it will boil faster than I was using it. You know, for less than 20 bucks, and I bought this one at 16, it's working.
The initial time was set for 3 minutes. I think that's faster than a Coleman F1 stove. So that's just over 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Hey, you gotta be careful of those tangs, they definitely get red hot. Now let's see how low it goes. That's low enough to cook eggs. I like it.